Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Families Fly Free podcast or YouTube. If you're watching this on video, welcome. So, I have a guest with me today who is going to share her travel rewards journey and story. And her name is Brittany Gartner. She is a Families Fly Free member and has been a member for about 6 months. And so I've just asked her, as I have some other members, to come on and just share with you what she's learned, her journey so far, some of her best tips, so that hopefully you can take some of those and run with them as well. So, welcome, Brittany. I'm going to let you just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your family, whatever you'd like to share.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for having me on. Um, like you said, my name is Brittany Gartner. My husband and I live in Oklahoma with our two small kids. We have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, so we are busy.
Yes.
I am a pediatric physical therapist, and I've been doing that for a little over a decade and absolutely love it. I work full time at a school for kids with developmental disabilities, but I also pretty much full time run an Instagram page where I educate moms on gross motor development and things like that. And I absolutely love doing that and getting to share just encouragement and things with other moms through that platform. So that is a little bit about us.
And tell us what your Instagram handle is so we can go
Yes,
follow you there.
that's important. Yeah, you can find me at mommyandme.pt on Instagram.
Yeah. So she has great content. So definitely check her out if you have got kiddos, which it's families fly free. So a lot of you do. All right. So let's start with kind of if you were doing what travel hacking you had done, say, prior to joining the membership, if any.
Yeah. So my husband and I, we've been married for almost 10 years and we love to travel. So in the few years that we were married before we had kids, we took probably 10 trips all around the US and Caribbean. We're big beach people. And I love, researching travel hacks and looking for deals and good ways to save money. And so I had done a lot of researching and a lot of reading things. And what I always found is I was always turned off by a lot of other programs because it seemed really complicated. It seemed really time consuming. And then the biggest turn off for me was always just the card turning, like the credit card turning, constantly opening and closing cards, trying to keep up with, which cards do I have open and what do they do and what do I spend, what do I spend this on? Which card do I put this on and all of that. So I was always turned off by that. And so, but I did figure out how to take advantage of the companion pass through Southwest. So before joining Families Fly Free, we did have a companion pass that we had gotten through like a travel promotion through Southwest. But what led me ultimately Families Fly Free is that I couldn't figure out, okay, how do I continue to have this companion pass? We had had it for a year. We had gone on a couple of trips. It was great, saved us a ton of money, but I couldn't figure out how to continue having the companion pass without spending a ton of money unnecessarily or going through that complicated process that I was talking about earlier. And so as I was researching, how do I get a companion pass? I found Families Fly Free. I think through a mom group that I'm in, someone had recommended that I listen to your free podcast. And so as I was listening to the podcast, I was like, this is it. This is what I need, like something simple that I know I do these steps every time and it's going to be the same result every time. And so I think I listened to the free podcast for maybe 3 weeks before I finally convinced my husband that we should take the leap and join the program. And I would say that he's very happy that we joined back in January.
So when you were looking at, other information out in the vast world, and you said you got the companion pass, did you do anything else or did it just seem too overwhelming to try?
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I would do is I would just, price compare, through different websites like different, Expedia or Priceline, things like that, just looking for, which site is going to save me a couple of dollars here and there. But other than the companion pass, that was probably the biggest thing that I did.
Okay. So as you've joined Families Fly Free, then so how was it different? I guess on the other side, for you.
Well, I loved the first thing that struck me was the online community and how vast it is. So, I loved all of the courses. I love all the videos. I love the members only podcast, but I really loved the interactive community that we have inside the membership. I loved being able to ask a question in there and almost immediately getting a response back, either from another member or somebody from your team. And I feel like, because I know those people are like minded like me. They're in the same program, they have the same goals as me. I felt like I could trust their opinion and their advice. And I didn't have to go back and like double check that or make sure that that was accurate information. I can just ask my question, get an answer, and then move on.
Going from overwhelm and it seeming very complicated, do you feel like the process that we gave you solved that for you?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So, we got our personalized plan after we joined and filled out our questionnaire, and the plan made perfect sense to me. I was able to follow exactly what the plan said and understand why I was doing each one of those steps. And I loved how it not only showed us how to get our companion pass again this year, but it laid out a future plan for us. So it wasn't okay, we're going to get it this time, but I don't know how we're going to get it next time. You guys really laid out for us the steps for the future. So I feel confident moving forward that I know exactly how to get the companion pass this year and in 2 years and pretty much every year moving forward after that.
Okay, awesome. It's what challenges, if any, did you face along the way? What was hard for you?
Honestly, probably just trying to figure out what to do first, like what trip to book first, which, how do we use our points in the best way? Because we have all of these places that we'd love to go. And so I think the biggest challenge for us personally was just figuring out, okay, like, let's take this step by step. What's the first place that we want to go? Okay, then where do we want to go after that? So honestly, there really haven't been any huge roadblocks or challenges for us. We love the simplicity of the program, and I love how everything that you share works.
Yeah, and like you mentioned the where to travel, and so we just had someone post in the community recently asking, they were considering whether or not they should renew, and they wanted to get feedback from other members who had renewed. And it's interesting when the other members weighed in, how much everyone said we love the destination content about
Mhm.
and figuring out where else we want to go. So I think that's a continuing challenge
Uh-huh.
from the beginning of where do we go first to okay, now I'm, however many 8 years into it or something, and now we're like, where else do we go? So I don't that surprised me at how that's just an ongoing. So while that's not really what the membership is, its main goal is to help you fly
Mhm.
for free, but we really support that, I think, in a big way with all of our webinars and itineraries on all the different places to travel. And so like
Yes.
we like to bring members in to share. So I think we've got coming up Puerto Rico with one of our members who was there recently. So like I want to go there. I haven't been there, so I'm looking forward.
Same. That is a place on our bucket list too, for sure. And I love like the sample itineraries that you guys have in there, because even once you choose a place to go, or like, I want to go to this place, it can be kind of overwhelming to start to get from yes, I want to go here, to like, okay, but where do I stay and what do I do, and what are safe places to go, and should I rent a car? It's just, there are so many layers to choosing a destination and planning a trip. So I just love that you guys, like you said, you kind of give support throughout the whole process. And that was an added bonus to the membership that we weren't expecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's my least favorite part is the whole figuring out what to do and where to eat and where to stay and all, that part of the trip. My least favorite. But yeah, so we try to compile everything that the team has done or whatever. And so it's already there for you. You can, at least on the trips we've taken, not have to do some of that legwork. Um, so is there a tip that you can share with everyone that you have found particularly helpful that you think others might as well?
Oh, let's see. I really think that my biggest tip for travel, and especially traveling when you have small kids, is just do the trip. It can be so overwhelming and so daunting to travel with small kids, especially if flying is involved, especially if um, you have never done it before. It can be really daunting. But my biggest tip is just to take the trip, because that's the only way that you're going to know what works and what doesn't, and what could I do next time. And my husband kind of always says, well, our kids are so young, they're never going to remember all of these places that we've taken them. But I always tell him, but we will. We will always have those memories of taking our kids places. And my husband traveled a lot when he was younger. My family didn't travel as much, but that's something that's really important to us as a family, is traveling. And so it's worth it to us just to take the trip and figure it out along the way. So I think that's my biggest tip, is just, if you want to travel with your family, just do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, because we can always come up with reasons why it's not a good time or it's just going to be too much trouble. And I have learned that along the way too, is whenever I'm given an opportunity to do something new or different, or to, like, same thing, just do it, because I never regret doing it on the other side. Like, it might feel like a little bit of a hassle, or, I have too much going on or whatever right now, but I never ever regret it. And I think I have heard people make that comment about, well, I don't want to travel with my little kids because they won't remember anything. But here, like, another thing is, it's not to say you're never going to go back there. We talked about that on a recent podcast episode, this idea of scarcity, like, I got to get everything done
Right.
while I'm there. So you might learn, like, oh, this is a place that our family really liked, and we're going to go back over and over again as our kids grow older.
Yeah, I love that. We just went to Disney World over Thanksgiving break last year, which I think you guys were there around the same time,
Yeah, we
weren't
were.
you? Yeah, I remember hearing a podcast and I was like, oh, we were there too. And that was kind of our mindset, is, we're here for a week. There's no way we're going to get it all done. So we're just going to enjoy the things we do get to do. And we're not going to worry about the things that we don't, because we can always come back later. So I love that, not having a scarcity mindset when you're traveling.
Yeah. And like on Disney, I mean, you're building memories too. So, like, that's one that, again, like my husband's family, they would go to Disney every year. So for him, that's like nostalgia and fond
Mhm.
memories. And we've done the same thing with our kids. I mean, I've taken my oldest since he was a baby, you know, and yeah, he doesn't remember those early ones, but we have the funny picture of him being scared of Mickey Mouse and whatever. And now they go as teens, and it's just, again, it's like, that's one place where we go where we know everybody has fun, and
Mhm.
again, they'll remember that forever, and maybe they'll continue that with their own kids, who knows. But there's so many great reasons to travel.
I agree. That's why we love to do it.
So on that note, tell us some of the things that you have done, or are planning since you've joined and mastered
Yeah.
some of this travel hacking stuff.
Well, we've been busy since we joined in January. So far this year, we love to take a big family trip to the beach every year, where my husband's sisters come with us. And so we have a big family trip every year. But my husband and I have also really learned the art of just taking short trips by ourselves. So we'll just go somewhere for a couple of days and come back. Um,
Yes, you have
so
got to do that when you have little kids.
yes,
Yes.
yes, it is best. So at the beginning of the year, we went to New York City, just my husband and I, for a couple of days. So we checked off a bucket list of mine to see the Rockefeller tree when it was up and lit. And then over spring break, my husband and I went to Palm Springs. That was just like a random place that neither of us had ever been. We really didn't have any reason to go other than it just sounded cool and we had never been before. And we ended up having a blast. We actually just got back this week we went to Savannah and Hilton Head, just my husband and I again. And then we leave next week for our big family beach trip. We typically go to the Destin area, but this year we're going to Siesta Key, which is down by the Sarasota area. So we're really excited to try out something new for that. And then at the end of the year, we're going to Disneyland. So we went to
Hmm.
Disney World last year and we're headed to Disneyland this year. So we have have definitely put our membership to good use this year.
So, how has the membership helped you to save on those trips?
Well, so every trip that we have taken so far this year has been completely free, and that includes flights, accommodations, rental
Wow.
car if we needed
Wow.
one, and then overall, with all of the flights we've booked and all of the accommodations and rental cars and all of that, so far this year we've saved over $6,000. So
Wow.
we definitely have gotten our return on
6,000
investment.
in 6 months. That's pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's really crazy. And we kind of decided that this first year we would just kind of see how we could completely maximize it. We may not always use our points to, get free rental cars or things like that, but we just decided this year, like, let's just see how far our points can actually go. And so that's what we've done. And every trip we've taken this year so far has been free, other than, food or souvenirs or whatever. But that
Mhm.
frees us up to, maybe eat at a restaurant that we wouldn't normally eat or buy souvenirs that we wouldn't normally buy. And I just feel like, especially with my husband, he's definitely more of the frugal saver of the two of us. I'm just kind of like, oh, we're on vacation, buy whatever we want. But I've definitely noticed that when we're on a trip that didn't cost us anything, he's definitely more like, yeah, sure, let's go eat here, or let's get the extra appetizer, or let's get the extra souvenir because we know that we're here for free. So I feel like it um, not only has saved us money, but it also just kind of frees us up to just really do whatever we want when we're on vacation and not really have to worry about all the money that we've already spent up front to get to the destination. And so we just really get to enjoy ourselves and not really have to worry about the money that we're spending because we've already saved so much.
Yeah, I was talking with a friend recently about like going on a trip when you're worried about money and what a bummer that is. Like if you're going on a vacation or this destination and then the whole time you're worried about the money you spent,
Mhm.
that is such a bummer. So yeah,
Yeah.
this really does free you up to you didn't spend any money.
Right.
So then you can just be in a state of amazement, of oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is costing us nothing.
I know.
Um,
It's really amazing.
so how are you looking points wise if you've taken that many trips thus far? Like what's your point situation like currently?
Yeah, I noticed this is just, I keep calling it the families fly free phenomenon because every time that we've like dwindled our points down, like all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh, wait, we have enough points to take, another trip. Or, you know, we, how did yesterday I didn't have any points and now today I have, 10,000 points. And so we definitely use a lot of the tips you share. We recruited one of our family friends to join the program, and that family used our Southwest referral link. So we've gotten some points through that. My mom used my referral link for Southwest points, so I've gotten points from her. We use the Southwest shopping portal for things that we would be buying anyway to get extra points. So I just feel like you share so many amazing tips that without even realizing it, we're just constantly replenishing our points. And then in October, we'll start working on our next companion pass for next year. So at this point, I'm just kind of like, well, if we can just make it until January, I know we're going to have a whole new slew of points. And we already have all of our trips booked through the end of the year. So we really aren't
Good.
in dire need of points right now. But yeah, it's so funny just to open up my app and just see points there that weren't there the day before, and knowing that I didn't have to do anything special. I didn't have to spend any extra money. I didn't have to,
Right.
do anything strange to get those points. They're
Spend
just
a ton of time.
constantly accumulating just using the tips that you share.
I like it. The families fly free phenomenon. I'm
Yeah,
going to steal that.
trademark
Um,
that.
so, would you say that you feel good about the investment you made in Families Fly Free, and you feel like you've gotten your value out of the membership?
Yes, definitely. I think a four-time return on investment in the first year is definitely worth it, and I think that we will continue to renew our membership just to get the benefits out of the community and out of the group. And I just I know you have said this on a podcast, maybe many podcasts before, but we're no longer a family who just takes a trip every year. We're a family who travels. And I love getting to say that. I love opening my Southwest app and always having like multiple trips planned. I feel like it makes an end of a vacation less sad because you already have something else booked and ready to look forward to. So
Yeah. And like, I feel like I am hesitant even to use the word vacation because it's like a continual vacation all
I
year
know.
round.
Yeah, you're just constantly on to the next thing, which is exciting.
Yeah. Um, so did you have like what hesitations did you, and you said your husband's more of the frugal of the two of you,
Mhm.
did you have before joining? And what would you tell yourself maybe in hindsight, about those concerns?
Yeah, I would say definitely the initial cost was something that was a little hesitation for me, just because, I mean, we're just a regular middle class family. We don't have just tons of money overflowing out of our bank account. Um, and and then I was afraid, okay, well, if I join this membership, am I gonna just find out things that I've already been finding for free?
That's a big
So that
question.
was where,
Mhm.
yeah, that was where listening to the free podcast was really helpful to me, because I could tell from the free podcast that your program was different, that
Uh-huh.
you weren't recommending all the card churning, that you weren't recommending this really complicated process. I could tell just from that free podcast that your process was simple. And I had, listened to tons of other member interviews and heard their success stories. And then I think the thing that finally pushed us over the edge of finally joining, and this really was what convinced my husband too, is just your money back guarantee. That, if you follow the program and you don't save, at least twice your investment, that you get your money back. And so for us, it was just a no brainer. Like, the price of the membership, we would easily spend that on one trip. So if we're going to take at least one trip this year, we might as well just do the membership, see how it works, and then if it doesn't work for us, then we knew we could get our money back. So I would just say, if you're thinking about it and you know that you're going to take at least one trip this year, just go for it, because you really don't have anything to lose, because you're already going to spend that money in traveling. So you might as well invest it and then be able to save, like we've saved 4 times our investment just in the 6 months that we've joined. So it's definitely worth it. And I just wish we would have found it sooner, because we could have been traveling like this for years.
Yeah, right. Better late than never. And you've got, actually, you found it while your kiddos were young. So you've
Mhm.
got tons and tons of time to be able to utilize it. And I loved just talking about this question about from the membership they renew, and Cheryl, who's been interviewed, at her story previously, but she said she looks at it just that's their annual travel cost.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Pretty
And so
much.
that's how she views renewing the membership. And because so let's talk about some of the other features, because you mentioned she just mentioned some reasons why she, continued to renew, why she found it beneficial. But so you mentioned you love the community. Is
Mhm.
there anything else that you find particularly helpful inside the membership?
Um, well, I think, just again, like all of the tips and tricks you share, like you don't just share like this is how you earn Southwest points, but you share like this is how you make your points go further. This is how you can figure out if your flight has lowered its points and get those points back. Like, this is how you can move your flights around if your schedule changes, or if Southwest makes a change to your flight. I love that there are so many layers to what you share, that it's not just, yeah, well, here are your Southwest points, take those and do what you want with them. I just love how you show us how to maximize our points, how you introduce us to a credit card that we had never heard of before, the Capital One Venture X. I think I had seen maybe a commercial about it, but I didn't
There are a
understand
lot of
how
commercials.
I
Yeah.
could really use that to enhance our travel. When we travel, we really love to stay in Airbnbs, especially when we're traveling with our kids. We just prefer that over a hotel room, because my kids are young. I really need them to sleep in their own room. I need my own space.
Mhm.
And so, all these other travel hacks that I had found really were only geared towards staying in hotels. but that didn't really fit with our travel goals. So I love that the program that you've created, it helps you maximize your travel no matter how you want to travel. So I love that we've been able to continue to stay in Airbnbs and do travel the way we want while also still saving money.
All right. So, are there any other tips or things that you would like to share that you think others should know?
I just really want to emphasize again, just if you're thinking about the membership or you're really wanting to travel, whether your kids are young or grown or whatever, just do it because you're never going to get this time back, and you're never going to have another opportunity to make these memories when your kids are this age or when your family is in this season. And I think it's just so important to just seize that time and make the most out of the time you have. And like you said, not wait for the perfect time because there probably will never be one. So just make today the perfect time, and you'll look back in a year and be so glad that you did.
Right. And to your point, if it doesn't work for you for some reason, you've got that guarantee to back you up. But I know we want to help. We know we can help people be able
Yeah.
to travel so much and save so much. So that's why I think it's so important to have folks like you on to really share your story and the challenges and the benefits that you have reaped from
Mhm.
this, so that people know that it can work for them too. And it's never too late, like you said. If you have young kids, great, but you can be a retiree too,
Yep.
and still take the time to do all those things that you have dreamed of. It's amazing because we can travel, like you've already traveled so much this year, and I think we're already at six at least, and that's normally what we do in a year.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
um, how much you can knock out even just in a year's time,
Mhm.
when you're able to do it all for free. Um,
Yeah.
and yes, you can do it around school schedules, which you probably haven't run into that yet, but
Well, actually, so a funny story about that. So my husband is a music teacher. He works at a public school. I work at a school that's more of a year-round school, and we not only have to work around his school schedule, but we have to work around mine too. And our schedules don't always overlap very well. Like we usually have like a long weekend or 1 week in the summer or 1 week at Thanksgiving or Christmas. And so I love that we've been able to still travel like during the busy times. Like this year, we traveled over New Year's, over spring break. We just traveled over 4th of July. We're going to travel again at Christmas later this year. And we're still able to save so much money, even traveling during those peak times and going to pretty sought after places. It's not like we're going to just, you know, unpopular places. I mean, we're going to New York, we're going to the beach, we're going to Disney at busy times of the year, and we're still able to maximize our travel points and do all of those trips for free. So I think that's pretty amazing.
yeah, and travel is expensive this year, which means sometimes points prices are higher too, but you can still do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't let that hang you up either,
Yeah.
because you'll have the points if you want to do it. So,
And my favorite thing is every morning checking my points on the flights we have booked to see if the points have gone down. And it is just like Christmas morning when you figure out that your flight prices have gone down, especially when you have 5 people booked on a trip. Even just the price going down a little bit can save you a significant amount of points. So
yeah,
yeah.
and that's like such an easy thing to do, you guys.
Mhm.
Just checking to see if your Southwest flight has gone down and getting those points back. So many of our members just save what tens of thousands of points over the course of a year just doing that one thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was going to say. We've saved probably tens of thousands of points this year so far just by doing that.
yeah, such an easy thing that you can do in 10 seconds on your
Mhm.
app on your phone. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And is there so you said you're mostly on Instagram. Is there anywhere else you want to share
Yeah.
that people can find you?
Yep. That's mostly where I am on Instagram.
Okay. All right. So go check out Brittany on Instagram. If you have any questions about the membership, I'm sure you can tag her over there or send her a message, and she'd probably be happy to answer about her experience. So if you want to hear direct from someone who's actually living it out, that would be a great way to do it. So, all right. So thanks again. And we'll see everyone on next week's episode. Have a great week.